UFC Mexico, Moreno versus Urseg. This is the Funkin' Flex MMA betting breakdown show. Thank you for tuning in. While you're here, drop a like on the thumbs up button below. If you're new to the channel, hit subscribe. This is the end of the week video. The first part comes out on Wednesday, which is the preview prediction show. My early picks and leans on the upcoming card. Friday's a deeper dive into my confident picks, dog, lock of the week, and some degenerate props as well. Coming off of a 5-8 week last week, not ideal as it was a back-to-back 5-8 losing week, but we did cash a couple of nice bets and a degenerate prop. So it wasn't too awful of a week. I look at all of these few weeks, these 3 week cycle between pay-per-views is just kind of build up cards. So we won't spend too much time, but let's go ahead and just recap last week a little bit. Christian Leroy Duncan and Loner Kavanaugh came through with the confident picks. Honestly, both dominant decisions. Kavanaugh was a little bit closer. If you saw him at the end of the fight, you might not have known that he won, but he did dominate rounds 2 and 3 after getting caught early with the head kick that dropped him. Leroy Duncan just dominating the whole fight against a guy that was making his debut and just not really ready for the rankings. Nathan Fletcher and Parkin, two close decisions that a lot of people felt were robberies. I thought Parkin really got it done. The Fletcher one was close, as he definitely landed more strikes. But they will go down as losses, bringing us on an even record 2-2 to 21-15 on the year in the confident pick section. The Parkin one hurt because the KO would have paid a nice prop, and he almost had Tybura. Just didn't have the ground and pound from the top that he needed to get it done. The dog of the week cashed again. Kevin Holland 6-6. We've cashed 5 out of the last 6 dogs of the weeks, bringing us to the 6-6 record after the rough start on the year. And Kevin Holland was the read to do it. Another one that if he would have ended in KO, we would have been looking at another 5 units, as he almost got it done at the beginning of round 1. Just saved by the bell. So what can I say? Kevin Holland, a good read, though, for the dog. The lock of the week also cashed with Carlos Ulberg in the main event. Another close decision. There wasn't a single KO on last week's card, so if you were betting knockouts, you were brutalized. But Ulberg put on a great show. John Blachowicz, just a tough guy to knock out, as he really fights on his back foot and has really become to be the king of split decision. Even though this one was a unanimous one for Carlos Ulberg, just not a really exciting fight. But Ulberg did what he had to do to get it done, and you gotta respect him for that, to get a top tough component win. Down 1 unit on the card. Not real thrilled about it, but we're still up over 10 units, almost 11 units on the year going into UFC Mexico. And I think that this is the week that a lot of favorites win. I like a lot of the favorites this week at least. So we might be bouncing back. I like this spot. Really excited for 314 here, though, in 2 weeks, where we'll dive in deep for that card. We're gonna have a lot of units deployed. Lots of my favorite fighters on that card, which is exciting and scary for me, as that's when I tend to bet with my heart. But I'm fired up for it. I'm locked in for it. So we'll go ahead and jump into the confident picks section for UFC Mexico, starting with Chiwiwis himself, Raul Rosas Jr. I think he gets it done against a guy like Vince Morales, who's a tough, durable guy on the feet. I like Rosas to get a KO coming up here, as his striking's improving by the fight, by the day. He's really in the gym grinding at 20 years old. The improvements that he's gonna make between fights are gonna be astronomical. And Vince Morales likes to rely on his grappling to keep himself in these fights. He's gonna have a tough time doing that against a savage like Raul Rosas, whose game is built around his wrestling pressure and his savage grappling. So I'm going Rosas as the pick. He's going to get this one done easily, and I think likely to get a finish here in front of the home crowd at Mexico. Lupi Godinez, another confident pick, minus 250 money line against Julia Pilastri, who does have a good pace and decent striking. She is a scary opponent for Godinez if Godinez isn't on her game. but 2 losses in a row for Godinez, and I think that she has faced much tougher competition and had close fights against that tough competition too. Some wins, the split decision against Tabitha Ricci, but dropping 2 in a row, Janjaroba decision. The tough fighters, you can't knock her on it. I think she gets it done against competition like Julia Pilastri, especially at home as well. Joe Pyfer against Kelvin Gastelum. I just think Pyfer's better everywhere. If his gas tank holds up, this confident pick is going to look like the lock of the week. It's the only reason he's not the lock is because I do have gas tank questions at elevation, as Kelvin Gastelum is a durable guy, but I wouldn't be surprised if Pyfer's the first one to get a KO on him, or if not, get a submission like his teammate Sean Brady did. Nonetheless, Pyfer inside the distance too is a good look. And last but not least, make sure you get the right Rodriguez on this bet. Lazy boy Rodriguez, Ronaldo. I like him to get it done at home as well. He's a surging star, and I think they gave him a winnable matchup in Kevin Borjas, who is tough, but he was giving up takedowns to guys like Joshua Van. Rodriguez's grappling game is on a much higher level, and I think that he's going to be able to shine in this matchup. Look for Rodriguez by sub, but we'll talk about that a little later. Rodriguez is the last confident pick of the UFC Mexico card. Bringing us to our lock of the week. We are going to skip the dog of the week this week. I was one up on the dog of the weeks for the locks, and this one, like I said, is going to be a lot of chalky favorites winning. I had a hard time picking a dog. An honorable mention will be Drew Dober and Manuel Torres. Whoever closes plus money on that, I like. I think it's a coin flip fight, and the odds are reflecting that. Had a tough time reaching on dogs past that, but the lock is a confident one this week, and it will catch us up to the same 12-week record that we have for the dogs, as I gave 2 out the first week. We're going to go Brandon Moreno here, and if you couldn't tell, I've been all over him all week. At Mexico, has yet to get a win at his hometown, and I think they gave him a great matchup to do it. Steve Erceg getting knocked out in the first round by Kai Kara France, who has lost twice to Moreno, and not to do MMA math, but they're giving Steve Erceg a matchup that's much tougher than Kai Kara France, who steamrolled Erceg. And at home, Moreno should get this done. Minus 250 is going to look like a steal of a price tag in the main event. He will be the main event lock, and I think that he gets it done right here in Mexico. Bringing us to our degenerate props. Rosas by sub at plus 275. Like I said, one of these days he's going to get a KO, but Vince Morales is just too durable. I wouldn't be surprised if Morales shoots a sloppy takedown from getting cracked on the feet and just gets choked out by the savagery of Rosas Jr. Big lock, second lock of the week would be Rosas. Rodriguez by sub. Borjas, like I said, getting taken down by lesser fighters than Rodriguez, who has a nice Brazilian jiu-jitsu background. You saw he got rocked by Ode Osborne in his last fight and was able to use his grappling against a good grappler in Ode Osborne to win that fight in a dominant decision on Noche UFC. At home in Mexico, the superstar is going to get a finish, and I think his best path to victory is by sub against a decent striker in Kevin Borjas. Oliveira by sub. Well, he's not the pick this week. I think that there's some value, as this is his clear path to victory. 11 wins by sub for Oliveira against a guy who's never really experienced MMA grappling like that. In Martinez at home, Mexico crowd might get to him on pressure. He might crack. Elevation's going to be tough for his stamina, and I think Oliveira's live to get a late sub. Martinez would have been a confident pick if not. I think that Martinez is the side to go with, as he's got more paths to victory, but Oliveira by sub at plus 750 has a ton of value. And it's kind of the same read for here, Hubbard, as I don't think that he's likely to win, but against a guy who has even struggled with his MMA grappling, Hubbard at plus 1400 has the experience, and I think that he might be able to get a nice sub against a guy like McQuell. So that being said, that'll wrap up the betting breakdown show here for UFC Mexico. I really do appreciate everyone for the love and for tuning in. If you've made it this far in the video, comment your favorite play in the week. Last week, cashing the plus 2,500 Chris Duncan sub really saved the card and brought me from being down nearly 15 units. So I had a half unit on that, and it really brought me back. So shout out to Chris Duncan for winning by sub. Shout out to all of you guys too. Drop a thumbs up on the way out if you don't mind. Like I said, subscribe if you're new to the channel. You're going to like it here. We got a lot of good content coming out. Show some love to the Instagram at FunkinFlexMMA. You're going to see the full picks and predictions for the card posted tomorrow, as well as a recap of this betting breakdown. And other than that, I hope you all stay funky and have a great rest of your weekend. Cash some tickets and stay locked in because 314's coming in quick.